Hello dear friends, hearty welcome. Friends, in this our today's lecture, we are going to start the study of new topic, that is circulatory system in human being. First of all, let us talk briefly. What does it mean, circulatory system? We know that in all higher animals, there are presence of different tissue systems to perform different functions. So now here name itself indicates what is circulatory system. The system which is responsible for the circulation, that is transportation of different materials from one part to another part or from one organ to another organ in the body of human being. We know that this transportation or circulation of different materials is carried out with the help of fluid medium, and on the basis of nature of that fluid medium, the circulatory system in human being is divided into two main types. मानवाच्या शरीरामध्ये किंवा इतरही प्राण्यांच्या शरीरामध्ये असंख्य वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारच्या टिश्यू सिस्टीम्स आहेत, संस्था आहेत. That may be digestive system, excretory system, etc. In the same manner, त्याचप्रमाणे शरीरामध्ये वेगवेगळ्या पदार्थांचं एका भागाकडून दुसऱ्या भागापर्यंत वहन करण्यासाठी, वाहतूक करण्यासाठी ज्या सिस्टीमचं कार्य चालतं तिला म्हटलं जातं सर्क्युलेटरी सिस्टीम. या ठिकाणी इन ह्यूमन बीइंग दिस सर्क्युलेशन, दिस ट्रान्सपोर्टेशन, विविध प्रकारच्या पदार्थांची वाहतूक करण्याचं कार्य हे काही फ्लुइड, काही द्रव पदार्थांच्या माध्यमातून केलं जातं. and there are two major fluids such as blood and another lymph, and thus on the basis of nature of fluid there are two main types of circulatory system in human being, such as blood vascular system, also known as blood circulatory system, रक्ताभिसरण संस्था, and second lymphatic system or lymph vascular system. It means the blood vascular system is the type of circulatory system in which transportation of different materials is carried out with the help of blood, and lymphatic system is the system in which transportation of different materials is carried out with the help of colorless fluid, that is lymph. So here initially we people have to study about blood vascular system in human being. In the introductory part of this chapter, I have already told you, in human being the blood vascular system is of closed type, that is the blood, it flows through the closed pipelines, that is blood vessels. Blood vascular system in human being consists of three main components, such as first blood, second heart, and third blood vessels. So quickly let us start the study of first major component, that is nothing but the blood. Blood, it is red colored fluid type of connective tissue. Fluid type of connective tissue. We all are aware, in 11th we people have studied about the connective tissue. While studying the topic animal tissues, we know that the connective tissue is broadly divided into three main types, such as binding type of connective tissue, supporting type of connective tissue, and fluid type of connective tissue. So blood, it is an example of fluid type of connective tissue. It is reddish in color. The branch of medicine which deals with the study of blood is also known as hematology. Hematology. that is the study of blood. The blood is slightly alkaline and salty in its nature. Slightly alkaline because the pH of blood is from 7.35 to 7.45. That is above 7, slightly above 7, and it is slightly salty in nature. The blood is not a watery material. I said it is fluid connective tissue. It is fluid type of connective tissue, but it is not watery material. It is viscous in nature. Blood, रक्त हे जरी फ्लुइड द्रव अवस्थेत असलेला कनेक्टिव्ह टिश्यू असला तरी इट इज नॉट वॉटरी, पाण्यासारखं ते अगदी पातळ नाहीये. इट इज स्लाइटली विस्कस, मीन्स डेफिनेटली इट इज मोर थिक than the water, and it is found that the blood is about 5 times more viscous than distilled water. 5 times more viscous than distilled water. Distilled water पेक्षा blood ची viscosity अर्थात thickness हा जवळपास 5 पटीने जास्त असतो. कारण the blood contains so many different components about which we are going to study very soon. The blood is reddish in color. But mind well, the oxygenated blood, oxygen rich blood, ज्याला आपण pure blood म्हणतो, शुद्ध रक्त म्हणतो, it is bright red in color. While the deoxygenated blood means the blood in which oxygen content is less. In our language, impure blood is purplish in color. It is purple in color. Now about the volume of blood in the body of adult human being. सर्वसाधारण व्यक्तीच्या शरीरामध्ये रक्त किती असतं? Let me tell you. In adult human being, the volume of blood ranges from 5 to 6.8 liters, or it is said that the volume of blood is about 7.8% of total weight of that individual. सर्वसाधारणपणे प्रौढ निरोगी व्यक्तीच्या शरीरामध्ये रक्ताचं प्रमाण हे 5 to 6.8 लिटर किंवा त्या व्यक्तीच्या वजनाच्या वेटच्या 7.8% एवढं मानलं जातं. Now we have to study about the components of blood. आता आपल्याला रक्ताचे घटक कोणते ते समजून घ्यायचे. One more point, that is origin of blood. All of you have studied in 11 that all the different types of cells and tissues are derived from primary germ layers, that is ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. So here blood is derived from embryonic mesoderm. Now let us talk about the components of blood. Basically the blood has two main components such as plasma and blood corpuscles. रक्ताचे दोन प्रमुख घटक पाडले जातात, एक प्लाझ्मा आणि दुसरं ब्लड कॉर्पस्कल्स. So let us talk about it. Components of blood. I said just now the blood has two major components such as plasma and second blood corpuscles. Let us talk about the plasma. So plasma, it is the liquid component of blood. Though it is liquid, it is viscous in nature, it is alkaline and straw colored. Straw colored in the sense pale yellowish in color. The plasma, it contribute about 55 to 60% of total blood volume. Now the plasma, it consists of so many different components. प्लाझ्मा मध्ये असंख्य वेगवेगळे घटक आहेत. Let us talk about it. The first and major component is water. Plasma contain about 90 to 92% of water. Second major component is plasma proteins. Plasma proteins. These contribute about 6 to 8% of the plasma. There are so many different types of proteins such as albumin, globulin, fibrinogen, prothrombin, heparin. These are the major plasma proteins. Let me tell you briefly the role of these plasma proteins. The albumin, it is mainly responsible to maintain the viscosity of blood, to maintain the viscosity, that is thickness of plasma or thickness of blood. रक्ताचा जो थिकनेस आहे, विस्कॉसिटी आहे, ती अल्ब्युमिन मुळे मेंटेन होत असते. ग्लोब्युलिन, this type of protein is used for the formation of antibodies. आता antibodies म्हणजे काय ते आपल्याला पुढे शिकायला मिळणार आहे. Especially the properdin, it is a type of globulin called gamma globulin. It is mainly used for the formation of antibodies, and antibodies play major role in our immune system. Next, fibrinogen and prothrombin. Actually, the fibrinogen and prothrombin, these play role in the process of blood clotting or blood coagulation. रक्त गोठण्याची जी प्रक्रिया आहे त्याच्यामध्ये हे दोन प्रोटीन्स कार्य करत असतात. And heparin is known as natural anticoagulant. Anticoagulant means it prevents the clotting of blood within blood circulation. शरीरामध्ये रक्त गोठू नाही याच्यासाठी heparin हे कार्यरत असतं. As it prevents, as it resists the clotting of blood, hence it is known as anticoagulant. So these are the different plasma proteins. In addition to that, the plasma contain different inorganic components, inorganic salts or inorganic compounds. Plasma mainly contain the ions of different salts such as sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, chloride, bicarbonate, sulfate, etc. These are the inorganic components. Also there are presence of organic compounds. Mainly the organic compounds are in the form of nutrients and nitrogenous waste materials. Nutrients and nitrogenous waste materials. You know nutrients, these are glucose, fructose, that is simple sugars, amino acids, fatty acids, glycerol, etc. Nitrogenous waste materials. You know nitrogenous waste material means the various nitrogen containing waste products produced during cellular metabolism. इयत्ता 11वीत आपण शिकलेलो आहे. पेशींमध्ये चयापचय क्रिया घडून येत असताना जे नायट्रोजन युक्त टाकाऊ पदार्थ तयार होतात, प्रामुख्याने युरिया, यूरिक ऍसिड, क्रिएटिनिन, these are nitrogenous waste material. In addition to that, the plasma show dissolved gases such as O2, CO2 and nitrogen. Except these, there may be presence of some other substances, that is enzymes, vitamins, hormones. These are the regulators. You know, they regulate our metabolic processes. या इतर सर्व घटकांबरोबर प्लाझ्मा मध्ये हार्मोन्स, संप्रेरक, विटामिन्स, जीवनसत्व, एन्झाइम्स, विकर हे पण प्रेझेंट असतात. In addition to that, there is a presence of cholesterol, additional materials are present. So all these are the different components of plasma. Now what is the role of plasma? Plasma is mainly responsible for the transportation of different materials, such as it is mainly responsible for the transportation of different nutrients, transportation of nitrogenous waste material, transportation of various types of inorganic salts up to each and every cell, also the transportation or supply of water up to each and every cell. Plasma is responsible for the transportation of hormones, vitamins, etc. etc. In addition to that, the plasma is responsible to maintain the pH of blood. It maintains the viscosity of blood because plasma itself contains the protein albumin. So these are few of the functions of plasma. Now we have to move towards the second major component of blood, that is blood corpuscles. So let us talk about it. Blood corpuscles. Blood corpuscles in the sense the blood cells floating in the blood plasma. First of all, you must know the meaning of this term corpuscles. Instead of saying blood cells, these are called as blood corpuscles. Corpuscles means the floating cells. We know that all other cells in the body of animals, they remain at their place, particular place, and they does not change their place. But here, as the blood cells are continuously floating along with the blood plasma, that's why they are known as blood corpuscles. Corpuscle या शब्दाचा अर्थ मी तुम्हाला सांगत होतो की ज्या पेशी, ज्या सेल्स या तरंगत असतात, ब्लड प्लाझ्मा मध्ये फ्लोट होत असतात, म्हणून त्यांना ब्लड सेल्स म्हणण्याऐवजी ब्लड कार्पसल्स म्हटलं जातं. These different types of blood corpuscles are also known as formed elements because these blood corpuscles are formed in the body of human being. Blood corpuscles are formed in the body of human being. That's why these may be called as formed elements. Now you all are aware that there are three main types of blood corpuscles such as RBCs, WBCs and platelets. Red blood corpuscles, white blood corpuscles and platelets. So let us talk the study of first formed element, that is red blood corpuscles, RBCs. First of all, let us talk about the shape and size of RBCs. RBCs are oval, biconcave, oval and biconcave. Let me draw the diagram. It means the RBC, it appears disc-like or slightly oval in surface view, while inside view it appears biconcave. That is, both the surfaces of RBC appear slightly concave. So I said that the RBCs are oval and biconcave in their shape. Size 7 to 8 micron in diameter. 7 to 8 micron in diameter and 2.5 micron in thickness. 2.5 micron in thickness. Now come to the number. In normal adult human male, the number of RBCs are near about 5.1 to 5.8 millions per cubic mm of blood. Please try to understand. In adult, normal and healthy human male, the number of RBCs are near about 5.1 to 5.8 millions per cubic mm of blood. Per cubic mm of blood. You just consider per cubic mm of blood म्हणजे काय? तर 1 घन मिलीमीटर. We can say even in a half drop of blood, there are presence of such a huge number of RBC. The RBCs are slightly less in female, that is near about 4.3 to 5.2 millions per cubic mm of blood. It means in females the number of RBCs are slightly less. There is certain reason, त्याच्या मागे काही कारण आहे. The female who have not yet attained the sexual maturity, ज्या फिमेल्स मध्ये अजूनपर्यंत सेक्शुअल मॅच्युरिटी आलेली नसते, त्यांच्यामध्ये हिमोग्लोबिन आणि आरबीसीचं प्रमाण हे मेल इतकंच असतं. बट आफ्टर अटेनिंग द सेक्शुअल मॅच्युरिटी, as it starts the menstrual cycle and the bleeding, during each menstrual cycle there is a loss of about 40 to 50 ml of blood per month. सेक्शुअल मॅच्युरिटी आल्यानंतर फिमेल्स मध्ये मेन्स्ट्रुअल सायकल सुरू झाल्यानंतर प्रत्येक मेन्स्ट्रुअल सायकल मध्ये ब्लीडिंग होत असतं आणि यामुळे फिमेल्स, अडल्ट फिमेल्स मध्ये ब्लडचं प्रमाण, हिमोग्लोबिनचं प्रमाण, आरबीसीचं प्रमाण हे कंपॅरेटिव्हली मेल पेक्षा कमी असतं. सो हियर आय हॅव मेन्शन्ड अबाउट द नंबर. नाउ लेट अस टॉक अबाउट द site of formation of RBC. RBCs निश्चित कुठे तयार होतात? Actually, in adult human being, the RBCs are formed in red bone marrow. You know what is bone marrow? Bone marrow, it is the tissue present in marrow cavity. Marrow cavity म्हणजे आपल्या सगळ्यांना माहिती आहे. In 11th we have studied. It is a cavity present in the bones. हाडांमध्ये असणाऱ्या ज्या पोकळ्या असतात त्याला marrow cavity म्हणतात. आणि marrow cavity मध्ये असलेला जो टिश्यू आहे त्याला म्हटलं जातं bone marrow. अर्थात bone marrow it is also of two types, yellow bone marrow and red bone marrow. So the red bone marrow is the site of formation of RBC in adult human beings. Okay, and the process of formation of RBC is known as hemopoiesis or erythropoiesis. Erythropoiesis. Mind well. Here, hemo also stands for RBC. Erythros also stands for RBC. Poiesis stands for the formation or production. It means the process of formation of RBC. Simultaneously, I would like to tell you that the red blood corpuscles, that is RBCs, are also known as erythrocytes. RBCs ला erythrocytes असं पण म्हणतात. या ठिकाणी erythros, this word stands for red and cytes stands for cell. It means red colored cells. Anyway, but the RBCs are formed in fetus in spleen and liver. Spleen and liver. Fetus याचा अर्थ जन्म होण्याच्या आधी गर्भावस्थेत असताना त्या ठिकाणी RBCs स्प्लीन आणि लिव्हर मध्ये तयार होतात. Means the spleen and liver are hemopoietic organ in fetus, while in adult the bone marrow, red bone marrow, acts as hemopoietic organ. And these RBCs are formed from some specialized cells known as hemocytoblast. Let me write hemocytoblasts. या hemocytoblast नावाच्या पेशींपासून RBCs या तयार होत असतात. So here we have studied about the site of formation of RBC. Now let us talk about the structure of RBC. Now let us talk about the structure of RBC. And before going to the structure, one more point here I want to add, that for the synthesis of RBC it requires mainly vitamin C, folic acid and heme protein. RBCs तयार होण्यासाठी काही घटकांची गरज असते. For the synthesis of RBC, it requires three main components such as vitamin B12, then folic acid and heme protein. you must know that about 2.4 millions of RBCs are produced per second in our body. एका सेकंदाला नियर अबाउट 2.4 millions इतके RBCs तयार होत असतात. Now let us talk about the structure of RBC. The mature RBC in mammals, mature RBCs in mammals are enucleated. It means without nucleus. Enucleated except camel and llama. या दोन प्राण्यांव्यतिरिक्त सर्व मॅमल्स मध्ये मॅच्युअर आरबीसीज या इन्यूक्लिएटेड आहेत. They show absence of nucleus. It means the RBCs are supposed to be the prokaryotic cells in eukaryotic organism. Do you understand? Prokaryotic cell means the cell in which nucleus is undeveloped. Here nucleus is almost absent, so RBCs are considered as a prokaryotic cell in mammals. Anyway, except that the RBCs show absence of different cell organelles, membrane bound cell organelles such as Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum, etc. But it encloses a spongy material. RBC enclose a spongy material known as stroma, and in this stroma there is a presence of hemoglobin. There are presence of about 270 million molecules of hemoglobin in single RBC, and the hemoglobin concentration, hemoglobinचं concentration adult male मध्ये सर्वसाधारण आहे 13 to 18 grams per dl. 13 to 18 grams per dl. dl याचा अर्थ डेकालिटर. It means per 100 ml of blood in human adult male there is a presence of 13 to 18 grams of hemoglobin, while in female it is slightly less, that is 11.5 to 16.5 grams per dl. So here we were discussing about the structure of RBC. I said that the RBCs, mature RBCs, are enucleated, that is without nucleus as well as without different membrane bound cell organelles in mammals except camel and llama. But in this spongy material stroma there are presence of such a large number of molecules of hemoglobin, and in adult male the concentration of hemoglobin is more than in female. Reason is same what I told you few minutes before. Now come to the next point, that is the condition of excess or less number of RBCs than average normal number of RBCs. The abnormal increase in the number of RBC, excess of RBC in the blood is known as polycythemia. Polycythemia. And abnormal decrease in the number of RBC is known as erythrocytopenia. These are abnormal conditions. You have to remember these terms. Now let us talk about the lifespan of RBC. Average lifespan of RBC is near about 120 days. After that, the old, dead or worn out RBCs are broken down in liver and spleen. You must know 120 दिवसांचा सर्वसाधारण कालावधी हा RBCचा लाईफस्पॅन मानला जातो. त्यानंतर such old RBCs, worn out RBCs, they are broken down, they are tear off, they are destroyed in liver and in spleen. लिव्हर मध्ये, यकृतामध्ये काही विशिष्ट प्रकारच्या सेल्स असतात ज्यांना कुफर सेल्स असं म्हणतात. These cells they break down, tear off the RBC, and this process of destruction of RBC in the liver is also known as hemolysis. RBCs destroy होण्याच्या प्रक्रियेला hemolysis असं म्हणतात. And as the RBCs are destroyed in liver mainly, that's why the liver may be considered as graveyard of RBCs. You know graveyard, दफन भूमी, where the final ritual is carried out. मृत्यू झाल्यानंतर मृतदेहाचं ज्या ठिकाणी अंत्यविधी केला जातो त्याला ग्रेवयार्ड म्हणतात. मग या ठिकाणी लिव्हर मध्ये आरबीसीज ला डिस्ट्रॉय केलं जातं म्हणून लिव्हरला ग्रेवयार्ड ऑफ आरबीसी असं मानलं जातं. फॉर युअर ॲडिशनल नॉलेज आय वॉन्ट टू टेल यू, ड्युरिंग द ब्रेकिंग डाउन ऑफ आरबीसी, whatever hemoglobin is present in RBC, that is also broken down into two parts such as heme and globin. You know globin, it is a protein, so it is broken down into amino acids. पहिल्यांदी heme आणि globin हे वेगळे केले जातात. globin हे प्रोटीन आहे, त्याला ब्रेकडाऊन होऊन अमायनो ऍसिड्स तयार होतात आणि heme हा जो ग्रुप आहे या ग्रुप मधला आयर्न, it is stored as ferritin. Iron is stored as ferritin, while the remaining part of heme, that is porphyrin, is converted into biliverdin. Biliverdin, it is slightly green colored pigment. This biliverdin is later on converted into slightly brownish to reddish bilirubin. Bilirubin is the main component of bile, that is the secretion of liver, and you know this bile is poured into our duodenum, into small intestine, and then it is ingested out along with the feces. याचा अर्थ ओल्ड RBCs लिव्हर मध्ये डिस्ट्रक्ट केल्यानंतर, ब्रेकडाऊन केल्यानंतर त्यांच्यामध्ये असणारा हिमोग्लोबिनचं पण ब्रेकडाऊन केलं जातं. ग्लोबिन नावाचं जे प्रोटीन आहे त्याला ब्रेकडाऊन करून अमायनो ऍसिड्स मध्ये रूपांतरित केलं जातं. हिम या भागात मधला आयर्न फेरिटिनच्या स्वरूपात साठवून ठेवला जातो आणि पोरफायरिन हा जो भाग आहे त्याचं रूपांतर बिलिवर्डिन आणि नंतर बिलिरुबिन या बाईल पिगमेंट्स मध्ये केलं जातं आणि बाईलच्या स्वरूपात दॅट बिलिरुबिन इज पोर्ड इनटू स्मॉल इंटेस्टाइन, लहान आतड्यात टाकलं जातं and along with feces it is ingested outside the body. This is about the lifespan and about the, we can say, the destruction of RBC. Now come to one more point, that is hematocrit value. Hematocrit value, let me tell you its meaning. Hematocrit means it is the ratio between the volume of RBC to the total volume of blood. It is the ratio between the volume of RBC to the total volume of blood. म्हणजे त्या व्यक्तीच्या शरीरामध्ये असणारं ब्लड आणि ब्लड मध्ये असलेलं RBC या दोघांच्या परस्पर प्रमाणाला हेमॅटोक्रिट व्हॅल्यू असं म्हणतात. Now in normal adult human being the hematocrit value is 38.3 to 46.6%, while in female it is 35.5 to 44.9%. Whenever there is an abnormal increase or decrease in the hematocrit value, definitely it indicates certain medical issue, certain blood problem, or any, we can say, the blood related disorder. So here we have discussed. Now let us talk about the functions of RBC. RBC चं कार्य काय? Here before going to the function, let me tell you, we know that the RBC contain hemoglobin, no doubt, but in addition to that, in RBC there is presence of one important enzyme known as carbonic anhydrase. Please remember this name. RBC मध्ये एक महत्त्वाचं एन्झाइम पण असतं, त्याचं नाव आहे कार्बोनिक अनहायड्रेस. Anyway, let us talk about the function. The main function of RBC is transportation of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Transportation of oxygen and carbon dioxide. RBC is responsible for the transportation of about 80 to 85% of oxygen and about 20 to 22% of carbon dioxide. This is the major rule. In addition to that, RBCs are responsible to maintain the blood viscosity, that is viscous nature of blood. Also, the RBCs, they play important role in the process of blood clotting. So here we have discussed about the three main functions of RBCs, such as transportation of oxygen as well as carbon dioxide. Second, it plays important role in the process of blood clotting or blood coagulation. रक्त गोठण्याच्या क्रियेमध्ये RBCs महत्त्वाचा रोल प्ले करतात. And third, it maintains the viscosity of blood. Now come to the second formed element, second blood corpuscles, that is WBCs. White blood corpuscles. In short, WBCs. The WBCs lack hemoglobin. In WBCs, hemoglobin is absent, and that's why these are colorless cells. Therefore, these may be known as leukocytes. Let us talk about the shape of WBCs. WBCs are mostly oval or rounded or irregular in shape. WBCs can change their shape and thus they can show amoeboid movement. We know amoeba, this unicellular microorganism, does not have any fixed shape. It can change its shape. In the same manner, WBCs also can change their shape and thus they can show the amoeboid movement, amoeba-like movement. And because of which the WBCs can squeeze out of the wall of blood capillary. Consider here is supposed to be the blood capillary, the finest blood vessel. कल्पना करा की या ठिकाणी ही ब्लड कॅपिलरी आहे, फायनेस्ट ब्लड वेसल, अतिसूक्ष्म अशा रक्तवाहिन्या ज्यांना आपण मराठीत रक्तकेशिका म्हणतो, त्यांच्या वॉल मधून या WBCs ब्लड सर्क्युलेशन मधून बाहेर येऊ शकतात. The WBCs can squeeze, can come out of the blood capillary wall, and this tendency is known as dipedesis. Of course, it is possible only because of amoeboid nature of WBC. It is not seen in RBC. Come to the size. Average size is about 12 to 18 micron. There are so many types and subtypes of WBCs. WBC चे अनेक प्रकार आणि उपप्रकार आहेत, त्यात आपण शिकणार आहोत. But on an average, the size of WBC is 12 to 18 micron. Now, average number of WBC is about 5,000 to 10,000 per cubic mm of blood. Means comparatively the number of WBC is less than the RBC. The proportion comes near about 600:1. याचा अर्थ 600 RBC च्या तुलनेने WBC फक्त एक आहे, 600:1. RBCs are present in very large number. Comparatively, WBCs are less in number. And the total number of WBC in blood is also known as total WBC count. Whenever there is abnormal increase or decrease in the number of WBC, it indicates a certain type of infection. Abnormal increase in the number of WBC is known as leukocytopenia. Abnormal increase in the number of WBC is called leukocytopenia. You know, it is seen in blood cancer. Abnormal increase in the number of WBC is known as leukocytosis. It is seen in blood cancer, leukemia, while the abnormal decrease in the number of WBC is known as leukocytopenia. These are the abnormal conditions. Now, let us talk about the structure of WBC. Structure of WBCs. I have already told you that the WBCs, these are colorless because lack of hemoglobin. Structurally, the WBCs are nucleated. They show presence of nucleus surrounded by cytoplasm, and cytoplasm also contain different types of membrane bound cell organelles like Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum and so on. Site of formation of WBCs. Actually, the process of formation of WBCs is known as leukopoiesis. थोडा वेळापूर्वी आपण शिकलो. The process of formation of RBCs is known as hemopoiesis or erythropoiesis. And one more point, for the formation of RBC, one important hormone, erythropoietin, plays very important role. Erythropoietin, it is the hormone secreted by kidneys, and that induces the process of erythropoiesis, hemopoiesis, that is formation of RBC. And here the process of formation of WBCs is known as leukopoiesis. The WBCs are formed in red bone marrow as well as in thymus, spleen, lymph nodes, etc. Lifespan of WBCs. On an average, the lifespan of WBC ranges from 3 to 4 days. Just 3 to 4 days. Later on, they are phagocytosed. It means they are destroyed, they are engulfed, they are digested by phagocytic cells. That's all. Now, we have to study about the types and subtypes of WBC. आता आपल्याला WBC चे प्रकार आणि उपप्रकार शिकायचे. Let us talk. Types of WBCs. WBCs are broadly divided into two main types on the basis of presence or absence of granules in their cytoplasm, such as granulocytes and agranulocytes. Granulocytes are also known as polymorphonuclear leukocytes. Polymorphonuclear leukocytes. Why? Because whatever leukocytes come under this type, they show variation in the shape of their nucleus. या प्रकारामध्ये असणारे जे ल्युकोसाइट्स आहेत त्यांच्या न्यूक्लियसच्या आकारामध्ये विविधता आढळते. सो दे आर कॉल्ड ॲज पॉलीमॉर्फोन्यूक्लियर ल्युकोसाइट्स. Granulocytes, name itself indicate. Granulo stands for granules. Cyte stands for cells. So the WBCs in the cytoplasm of which some granules are present. Actually, that granules are nothing but the secretory vesicles. They have ability to secrete some secretion. So whenever the granules are present, ग्रॅन्युल्स म्हणजे काय सांगितलं, सिक्रिटरी वेसिकल्स, अतिसूक्ष्म कण. प्रत्यक्षात ते कण नाहीये, ते पार्टिकल्स नाहीये, ते ग्रॅन्युल्स नाहीये, तर ते सिक्रिटरी वेसिकल्स आहे, व्हेरी स्मॉल वेसिकल्स विच सिक्रेट डिफरंट सिक्रिशन. मग असे ग्रॅन्युल्स असणारे जे WBCs, त्यांच्या गटाला नाव आहे ग्रॅन्युलोसाइट्स. अँड दोज WBCs in the cytoplasm of which granules are absent belongs to this group, that is agranulocyte. Now the granulocytes are further divided into three main types, such as basophils, eosinophils and neutrophils. The granulocytes contribute about 72% of total WBCs, while the remaining 28% of WBCs are of this type, that is agranulocytes. Now let us talk about basophils, eosinophils and neutrophils one by one each. First of all, basophils. Basophils contribute only 0.5 to 1% of total WBC count. These cells are small, somewhat rounded and non-phagocytic. Phagocytic याचा अर्थ those cells which have ability of phagocytosis. Phagocytosis means to engulf and digest the foreign body. कुठल्याही फॉरेन मटेरियलला इंजेस्ट करून त्या फॉरेन बॉडीला डायजेस्ट ब्रेकडाऊन करण्याची क्षमता याला म्हटलं जातं फॅगोसाइटोसिस आणि अशा सेल्सला म्हटलं जातं फॅगोसाइटिक सेल्स. But here the basophils are non-phagocytic, they does not show phagocytosis. These are small and rounded. Basophils, they receive basic stain. You know what is stain? Stain म्हणजे काय आपल्या सगळ्यांना माहिती आहे. Stain means these are coloring agent which are used in laboratory for the coloring of living cells, plant and animal cells. Now here the basophils, they receive the basic stain. Basic stain. Here baso, it stands for the basic stain. Philic stands for the attraction, affinity or love. It means the cells which receive basic stain are known as basophils. Basic stain चं उदाहरण देतो. Say for example methylene blue. Methylene blue यासारखं बेसिक स्टेन basophils हे रिसीव करत असतात. The basophils have S-shaped or slightly twisted nucleus. S or twisted nucleus. Let me show. Suppose here is the basophil and here is its nucleus. The granules of basophils are responsible for the secretion of histamine and heparin. Histamine, it plays a role in the process of inflammation, while heparin, it acts as natural anticoagulant. It means it prevents the clotting of blood in blood circulation. शरीरामध्ये रक्त प्रवाहित होत असताना ते कुठेही गोठलं जाऊ नये, रक्ताच्या गुठळ्या होऊ नये यासाठी हिपॅरिन हे कार्यरत असतं. Now come to the eosinophils. Here eosino, this word stands for eosine. Actually eosine, it is an example of acidic stain. जसं या ठिकाणी मी सांगितलं की मिथिलीन ब्लू हे बेसिक स्टेन आहे, त्याच पद्धतीने eosine हे acidic stain आहे. So the WBCs which receive acidic stain such as eosine are known as eosinophils or acidophils. So we can say here these cells receive acidic stain like eosine. The number of eosinophils or acidophils is near about 1 to 3% only. The nucleus of eosinophils is bilobed. Let me draw. See. The nucleus is bilobed. या ठिकाणी न्यूक्लियसला दोन लोब्स आहेत. The granules are quite large in number. Coarse granules are present and these granules are responsible for the secretion of hydrolytic enzymes and peroxidase. It is also enzyme. Actually, the eosinophil has anti-allergic action, anti-histamine action. म्हणजे हिस्टामाइनच्या विरुद्ध कार्य करण्याची क्षमता यांच्यामध्ये असते. Whenever there is certain allergic reaction like asthma, hay fever, at that time the number of eosinophils increases tremendously. Now come to the neutrophils. Neutrophils, they contribute about 70% of total WBCs. The neutrophils, they stain both type of stains, that is acidic as well as basic, and that's why the name is given as neutrophils. The neutrophils have multilobulated nucleus. Look at the diagram. Here are many lobules. 3 to 5 lobules are present there. The neutrophils are phagocytic in nature. Neutrophils है phagocytic आहे. Let me tell you the function of neutrophils. So, the neutrophils are phagocytic in function. Means what? These neutrophils can engulf and digest any foreign germ, any foreign body. शरीरात शिरलेला कुठल्याही परकीय जीवजंतूला एंगल्फ करून त्याला नष्ट करण्याचं कार्य या न्यूट्रोफिल्स करत असतात. Means these are supposed to be the soldiers of our body. That's all about the 3 types of granulocytes. Now come to the agranulocytes. Agranulocytes are of 2 types such as monocytes and lymphocytes. These are agranulocytes. It means they lack granules in their cytoplasm. First of all, let us talk about the monocytes. Monocytes contribute about 3 to 5% of total WBCs. These are considered as the largest WBC in size. As it is agranulocyte, therefore the cytoplasm is clear. These are rounded and enclose bean-shaped or kidney-shaped nucleus. Monocytes are highly motile and phagocytic in nature. It means they engulf and digest different foreign bodies quickly. Even when these monocytes squeeze out of blood circulation, ज्यावेळेला हे monocytes blood capillaries मधून बाहेर पडतात, tissue spaces मध्ये येतात, at that time they gets converted into some modified and large sized cells known as macrophages, and these are also considered as active phagocytic cells. Means they engulf and digest so many different types of foreign bodies, foreign germs. Not only this, but these monocytes are responsible for the digestion of dead body cells, own dead body cells, and hence these are called as soldiers as well as scavengers of our body. Scavengers याचा अर्थ की शरीरामध्ये असणाऱ्या ज्या मृत सेल्स आहेत, डेड सेल्स आहेत, त्यांनाही नष्ट करण्याचं कार्य मोनोसाइट्स करत असतात. Come to the lymphocytes. Lymphocytes contribute 25 to 30% of total WBCs. The lymphocytes are smallest in size. There are 2 main types of lymphocytes. Before to that, let me tell you, these are smallest but have a very large nucleus. Nucleus is rounded or slightly notched at one place and with scanty cytoplasm. Cytoplasm हे अल्प प्रमाणात असतो. Now these lymphocytes are of again 2 types, such as the B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. The lymphocytes and all the WBCs are as usual formed in red bone marrow, no doubt, but these B lymphocytes undergoes maturation and differentiation in the bone marrow itself. म्हणजे या प्रकारच्या lymphocytes bone marrow मध्ये तयार होतात, त्याच ठिकाणी त्यांचं मॅच्युरेशन होतं आणि डिफरेन्शिएशन होतं. डिफरेन्शिएशन होतं म्हणजे काय? These B lymphocytes give rise to 2 different types of cells, namely plasma B cells and memory B cells. Actually, the plasma B cells are responsible for the formation of antibodies. ज्याच्याबाबत आपण नंतर इम्युनिटी शिकत असताना बोलणार आहोत. While the T lymphocytes are formed in red bone marrow but undergo maturation and differentiation in thymus. या प्रकारच्या ज्या लिम्फोसाइट्स आहेत त्या रेड बोन मॅरो मध्ये तयार होतात, पण त्यांचं मॅच्युरेशन आणि डिफरन्शिएशन मात्र थायमस नावाच्या एका लिम्फ ऑर्गन मध्ये होत असतं. त्याबाबतही आपण नंतर बोलणार आहोत. Means here the T stands for thymus and B stands for the bone marrow. Actually, these T lymphocytes undergo differentiation to form different types of T lymphocytes, such as the helper T cell, killer T cell, suppressor T cell, memory T cells, and all these T cells play important role in cell mediated immunity, and the B lymphocyte play important role in humoral immunity or antibody mediated immunity, about which we shall talk separately later on while studying about the immune system. So here we have discussed about the WBCs. Now come to the last and third component of blood, that is platelets. Platelets, they also lack hemoglobin. Platelets मध्ये पण hemoglobin नसतं. Platelets, these are smallest element of blood. These appear oval, discoidal, but becomes quickly stellate shaped, star shaped or spindle shaped in extracted blood. Extracted blood, याचा अर्थ शरीरामधून रक्त बाहेर घेतल्यानंतर जर त्या रक्तामध्ये प्लेटलेट्सचं ऑब्झर्वेशन केलं तर they appear stellate, star or spindle shaped, but in blood circulation the platelets appear oval or disc like. Average size is just 2 to 3 micron, smallest component 2 to 3 micron. Number of platelets near about 2,50,000 per cubic mm of blood. Abnormal increase in the number of platelets is known as thrombocytosis, while abnormal decrease in the number of platelets is known as thrombocytopenia. Now let us talk about the structure. Now, formation of platelets. Platelets are formed in red bone marrow by the fragmentation of large sized cells known as megakaryocytes. रेड बोन मॅरो मध्ये मेगाकॅरिओसाइट्स या सेलच्या डिव्हिजन किंवा फ्रॅगमेंटेशन मुळे प्लेटलेट्स हे तयार होत असतात. I already told you the platelets lack hemoglobin and therefore these are colorless. Structure of platelets. Platelets are also enucleated, that is without nucleus, and they show presence of few membrane bound cell organelles like Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum, and so on. Lifespan 3 to 5 days or 3 to 7 days. As I told you, function of platelets. The platelets contain few basophilic granules, few basophilic vesicles, and platelets are responsible for the secretion of thromboplastin. It may be called as the platelet factor, and it plays important role in the process of blood clotting, blood coagulation. That's all about the platelets. One more point. Is there any difference between the platelets and thrombocytes? Generally, the platelets are considered as the thrombocytes, but mind well, The platelets are present only in the blood of mammals. प्लेटलेट्स या फक्त मॅमल्स सस्तन प्राण्यांच्याच रक्तामध्ये आढळतात. While thrombocytes are the blood cells which are similar to that of platelets but present in other vertebrates except mammal. Thrombocytes नावाच्या ज्या सेल्स आहेत, ब्लड सेल्स आहेत की ज्या प्लेटलेट सारख्याच असून त्या मात्र मॅमल्स व्यतिरिक्त इतर जे वर्टिब्रेट्स आहेत म्हणजे पायसेस, फिशेस, एम्फिबियन्स, रेप्टाइल्स, बर्ड्स यांच्यामध्ये आढळतात. So what is the difference between platelets and thrombocytes? The difference is that thrombocytes, these are biconvex and nucleated cells. These show presence of nucleus, while platelets are enucleated. Both play important role in the process of blood clotting. So here we have completed the study of composition of blood. So let us stop here today. Thank you.